Hello, class. So, our next reading is from Immanuel Kant, who was a philosopher who lived after Moliere in the state of Prussia. And Prussia is in the eastern part of Europe, and it's a state that stretched from present day Germany eastward into Russia. Now, Kant was writing near the end of the Enlightenment, and in this essay from 1784 called What is Enlightenment? He has a succinct way of characterizing the skepticism that defines this era of European literature. So, for our exercise today, we're reading the first three paragraphs from Kant's essay, What is Enlightenment? And then we're creating a verbal response to the question of whether Orgon becomes enlightened at the end of the play. Consider Kant's definition of enlightenment as thinking for oneself. He says when someone is not enlightened, they're in a state of immaturity, like a child. They're like a child because they're following blindly and not thinking for themselves. So look at how Orgon follows Tartuffe blindly. Does Orgon ever think for himself at the end of the play? Can we see this play as a lesson in thinking for oneself? So now that we've read the play, or watched the play, and read a little bit of Kant's philosophical essay, we can think more critically about the characters in this play using Kant's definition of enlightenment. Who, would you say, thinks for him or herself in Tartuffe? And who just follows blindly? I think Orgon would be a follower in the beginning of the play. He doesn't question Tartuffe. He does not have any healthy skepticism of wondering what Tartuffe's motives would be. Others do have that skepticism, and they tell him so. Cléante is skeptical. Dorine questions Tartuffe's authority, as does Orgon's son Damis. They question Tartuffe's religious devotion too, and they are thinking for themselves. Let's also consider how much Orgon is at fault for the troubles that were caused to his family, like what we encountered in Act 5. He's the one who wanted Tartuffe engaged to Marianne. He told Tartuffe about the papers in the lockbox, and he gave Tartuffe the deed to the house. It's because he's so gullible that the rest of the family are almost evicted from their home. Look at the consequences of Orgon following blindly and not questioning. He was tricked by a religious impostor. He thought a common criminal was really a holy, devout religious man. So, think about that when you complete your VoiceThread assignment. So, for this assignment, you only need to speak for 1 minute. You do not have to make a video. I'm just interested in hearing your voice. Have some notes prepared to follow, but I want you to speak naturally. Don't just read from a prepared text. I want to hear you talk about your experience reading Tartuffe and if you think Orgon becomes enlightened. The question asks you to describe what was interesting or difficult about the reading, and then answer the question about applying Kant's definition of enlightenment to the play Tartuffe. Does Orgon become enlightened by the end of the play? Can we think of him in what Kant calls a state of immaturity by following blindly, at least in the beginning of the play? And does Orgon learn to think for himself in the end? So, I look forward to your thoughts in your VoiceThread assignment. I'll see you there.